Welcome to Shooting Gallery, and this does not go bang. Well, actually knives went bang in a really crummy science fiction movie 4 or 5 years ago, but that's neither here nor there. You know, the knife is our oldest tool. We've been making knives ever since we've been making anything. And these days we use knives for opening packages, for cleaning our fingernails, for cutting that perfectly cooked rare steak. But the real reason that you carry a knife, one of these knives with a clip here, the reason that I carry a knife is for self-defense. If you've been watching Shooting Gallery, you've already seen Michael Janich. He is a great trainer. He is the head of Masters of Defense Knives, a great knife designer. And he is the perfect man to tell you how to take a knife to a gunfight.
Hey man.
What's up?
Hey man, give me your wallet.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, give me your keys.
No. No, man.
Back up!
Okay, here's the deal. Whenever you carry anything for self-defense, you need to know how to use it. When the balloon goes up, you're in the middle of condition black. That's a very bad time to start your training. Now, as with any new technique, we'd be remiss if we didn't start you out with the basics. So here's a crash course in personal defense with a knife from Mike Janich.
The most basic thing you need to understand before you start any kind of knife training is to make sure that you have proper equipment. This is an aluminum trainer. It looks very realistic, but it has absolutely no sharp edges. It's designed so that you can make safe contact. Even better than something like that is to have a knife that comes as close as possible to replicating what you carry on a daily basis. In this case, I carry a folding knife on a daily basis. I happen to carry this exact model. So let's take a look at that crash course. If I'm defending myself with a knife, in this case, I'm working with my training partner. This is Michael Rigg. He's been training with me for about 6 years now. Very accomplished knife player in his own right. He's going to be attacking me with what we consider an angle 1. This, with a knife, would be a high slashing attack to the left side of my neck, but what's important here is the angle of what's coming at me. My first target is going to be what allows him to hold on to that knife. We basically have a 3-tiered targeting priority. The flexor tendons of the arm are located right here. They're powered by the muscles of the forearm right here. Basically, muscles pull on tendons which move bones. If I cut these flexor tendons, if I cut these muscles, basically I deactivate his grip, and it won't work again until a surgeon puts it back together. Target priority number 2 is basically what allows him to wield this, which is bicep and tricep. And my third target priority is going to be his quadricep. The quadricep is a muscle at the front of the leg that basically extends your knee and allows you to support weight. Once he is stationary with a contact distance weapon, I can create all the distance I want. So when we look at this, he's coming in with that angle 1. Darwin looms large and says, get out of the way of the sharp thing. His arm continues past. My next target is to cut that tricep. Take that, and you notice I'm also integrating the use of what we call the live hand. I'm monitoring his elbow so that he can't come back with that weapon. I give him a little shove to make sure he stays there. My finishing cut takes that leg, and that is also the start of my sprint to safety. Let's look at that again. He comes in angle 1, Notice I didn't go anywhere near his neck. I didn't stab him in the torso. I didn't do all these other things that would endanger his life, but not necessarily shut him down any faster. This is the quickest and most efficient way to achieve stopping power with an edge weapon.
Now this is a knife, right? We think bigger is better. Mike, true? Not true.
Like anything else in self-defense, the best weapon is the one you have with you when you get attacked. And for the type of techniques that we do, for the approach that we take, you don't need anything more than something like this size. Just like when you go to the range, you want to make sure, hey, is my gun accurate? Do I have the skills I need? You shoot at the target and you validate the results. So what we do here, this is a pork roast that we have butterfly wrapped around the dowel rod, which will represent the underlying bone, tied it on with lots of butcher twine, which would represent lots of the tendons and connecting tissues that would be underneath, wrapped it up with a bunch of saran wrap, which represents the overlying skin, and what you've got is something that pretty accurately represents about the size of a forearm, about the size of a bicep tricep, or even the size of the lower part of the quadricep. If you're going to be attacked by someone, in most cases they're going to be wearing some kind of clothing. So what we did was put a pant leg over this, just from a pair of jeans. Let's see what this knife would do. Again, what we've got here is, when you look at the trainer we were using just a moment ago, this is the training version. This is the live blade, a crucible folding knife from BlackHawk blades. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replicate that second cut of the technique we just saw, which is the backhand cut across the tricep. That is in down to the bone. That type of cut across the muscles of the forearm, across the bicep, any one of the muscle groups we talked about, basically separates that muscle into two pieces. You've taken away that function, and you've taken away your attacker's ability to be dangerous to you.
Hey, welcome back to Shooting Gallery. Now, how many of you have ever heard that old cliche, never bring a knife to a gunfight? And that's the absolute truth, right? Mike, right?
You can bring a knife to a gunfight. What's more important is bringing skills to a gunfight, bringing skills to any fight. And if you've got more than one tool, you should have the skills to use all of them. So there's nothing wrong with bringing a knife to a gunfight because there's no guarantee it's going to stay a gunfight. A fight is a fight, is really what it comes down to. So you need to have the skills, and the more that you can integrate your skill set, the better off you're going to be. Well, to throw another cliche at you, to the man who only has a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So they want it to be a gunfight because they don't have the skills to deal with anything else. That's a problem. So what you want to do is, if you carry a knife, have knife skills. You carry a gun, have gun skills. If you're smart, you integrate all your skill sets. And that way, no matter how the fight goes, no matter what you have at hand, you can use it effectively. This is what's called hubad or hubad lubad. It's a Filipino drill that means tie and untie. And this is really designed to deal with some of the most difficult situations you might find yourself in as far as knife goes. One of the worst case scenarios is somebody coming in reverse grip and trying to stick you like this. It is up close and impersonal, very tight. What you have to be able to do is to deal with that in such a way that I change our center line relationship and I get to the outside of that attack. He's coming in and he's going to try to bury this thing into me. Again, this is really short, not a whole lot of room to move here. The traditional thing that you'll see is people will try to block like this. Well, if he's a good knifer, because he's moving on his terms, he's simply going to yank that out of the way and continue to go to work with his knife. Anything that I do to try to stick my hand up here, I'm screwed. It's not going to work. But I want to make sure that I have not only good technique, but also something that is very instinctive, very reflexive. One of the most reflexive things in the world. He's coming in, I'm going to slap this aside. Fly buzzing around your head, you're not going to do some weird martial arts technique or anything, you're going to swat it out of the way. This is instinct. It's a great place to start. He comes in with that shot, I swat it out of the way. But I don't want to rely on just this hand. I want to use also the wedging aspect of this hand. So now what we have is kind of a double tap motion. Now at this point, if I had my knife in hand, what we would do is look for an opportunity to cut. And I would be coming down on the forearm here. We're not going to get as choice a cut as we normally would get being on the inside, but still, cuts on him are a good thing. In the drill version of this, I now give Mike a chance to play. So I come in, he gets his cut. And this becomes a repetitive drill. We do a lot of drills of this type because you can actually get moving on this. You can have some speed and you get in tons of repetition. Each one of these has to be a good technique. If I screw it up, I pay for it. Again, in the drill, I'm cutting the back of his forearm, not a choice target. But we said bicep and tricep is good stuff. So he comes in with that shot right to the bicep there. I'm deflecting here, tracking right to the bicep, and basically taking that muscle out of the equation. One of the nice things it gives us is also the ability to go from an immediate response to an attack to drawing our weapon. So I can be going empty-handed, Mike can have his knife. Obviously I don't want to be cut every time, but you can see that this drill, the mechanics are the same regardless of what weapon he has. So let's say that I don't have my knife out yet and he's attacking me. He comes in, I'm getting offline, there's my eye strike, I shove him off, I step back, draw my knife. Life is good, at least better than it was a second ago. If I want to take my knife skill, adapt it to my gun skill, my draw stroke for my knife is not that much different than the mechanics of the gun. So again, he's coming with that shot, bang, I'm getting offline. And now it's the idea of being able to get my gun out quickly instead of the knife. To take this one step further, I can take the same drill. We're going along this way. What I want to do is really get a position of advantage. My best advantage is going to be when I can control his entire upper body and his lower body. And I can do that by gripping his arm above the elbow, driving in, and sinking my body weight. And basically crossing him up. You notice I'm also stepping on his foot here to make sure that he doesn't go anywhere. This is a very safe place for me to be for the moment. There may be other considerations. I may not know if there's people downrange this way, people over here, whatever. By getting that downward angle, it's going to be a whole lot safer for innocent bystanders, and I'm only shooting the person that I need to be shooting. Mike is attacking here, same basic technique. I'm controlling this, bumping into here, and at this point, I'm basically into my pelvic shot. We're not going to hang out there for any length of time. I just want to get that moment in time, that opportunity to be able to get my shot, do something decisive, back off. If he's down, I've killed his mobility, I'm safe. Life is good.
One thing you might not have thought about is that with a knife, you have a greater range of force than you do with a gun. With a gun, it's bang or not bang. But with a knife, you have some options of an impact weapon, and that can be critically important.
One of the great things about the knife is that it allows you to use different levels of force. With the gun, you're either threatening to shoot somebody or you're shooting somebody, and there's really not a whole lot of gray area in between. Let's see how some of this works. We're going to start off by teaching you a drill that we call the power suit drill. Mike comes in with his angle one. I'm checking here, blocking with the back of my hand. I'm cutting upward, and then going to hook his arm, move it across, again monitoring that elbow, and just for good measure, I'm going to take another cut at this point. Now he gets a chance to do the same thing. So I fire my angle one, he checks, he cuts, he hooks, cuts. So again, check, cut, hook, cut, check, cut, hook, cut. What this allows me to do is to get from what's called the inside, right here where I'm between his arms, I'm vulnerable to all his weapons. Take those flexor tendons and get to the outside where I'm sectored away from his other weapons, and I'm a whole lot safer. Check, cut, hook, cut, check, cut, hook, cut. The way we would apply this with knife, Mike was coming in here, I check, cut, hook, I'm to the outside, I'm monitoring this, and now my primary target is going to be that mobility kill going right to his quadricep. So I would simply plow through that, and again, I'm on my way to safety. If I can drop him at that point, he no longer has mobility, he can't chase me as I escape. Check that hook, flip, cut. Now let's say for some reason that either I chose not to cut him, or I drew my knife, I had it in my hand, but I don't have it open. I didn't have the opportunity, I screwed up my opening technique, whatever. What I do is I do the same technique, I adapt to the attributes of the weapon. So Mike comes in, check, cut, hook. This time I'm going to lift. Notice how I'm coming straight up center line. He can't see my hand coming up. I'm going to place this right on his collarbone. Reach around with this hand, and you can see that this really sucks. At this point, I can take him to the ground. I can finish him up here, make sure I got him disarmed. Whatever I need to do to follow up at this point, I'm in a safe position. It's that bone pressure of the closed knife on his collarbone that allowed me to do that.
One of the great things about learning knife tactics is they don't just apply to knives. They work just as well with any other weapon, a flashlight, a baton, a stick you pick up off the ground. The techniques are also applicable for close-in gunfighting at contact distances. So when you learn the knife tactics, you add a whole new group of tools to your self-defense toolbox.
Now let's say that instead of a knife, I've got something else like a flashlight. Gun guys are also flashlight guys because we know that a lot of gunfights occur in the hours of darkness. So this is a necessary accompaniment to the firearm. Let's say that I'm walking down the street with a flashlight in hand, a great self-defense technique, because if you come across something that's dark, you want to light it up, make sure there's no threat there, it's a perfect tool to have in your hand. It's also a great improvised weapon that works with the same technique. Mike comes in with the angle 1. This time I'm hitting with my elbow here, because I don't have anything to cut with. I hit with the elbow, I hook, lift, come up, got a little bonus, come up onto the collarbone here, and again I can punch him down to the ground with that pressure on the collarbone. We put that all together smoothly. Bang, I hit, move this here. And notice as I take him down, I'm also monitoring this arm. If he's still got that knife, I'm still safe. This is also a way to kind of convince him to let go of that knife by breaking this elbow. Just giving this leverage here. At that point, I can take possession of the knife. We usually make sure that he doesn't follow us by taking away his mobility. Again, at that point, we're safe. I don't have anything in my hands. First inkling I've got, this thing is coming around, whether I pick it up first with this hand or here, again with that elbow strike. Pass it through, I get my position of advantage, and now this is my shooting position. I have to be concerned with everything around me. I'm responsible for the terminal resting place of all these bullets. So what I need to do is make sure that I've got a clean backstop. So again, Mike comes in here, bang, I hit. The only one that needs to be concerned here is him. Everyone else downrange, everyone else around is good to go. That's all I.
Another really important point is you can use this to help you retain this.
One of the most common connections you're going to hear between guns and knives is the idea of using a knife as a weapon retention tool, being able to hang on to your handgun by cutting somebody off of it when they try to grab it. What you'll see a lot of times, Mike goes to grab my gun like this. You'll see these neat techniques where I grab his wrist, I pull the knife out, I dutifully open it up, I carve on his hand until he loses interest and he lets go. The problem is, when he's grabbing my gun like that, he's not doing anything. He's just standing there being stupid, letting me cut on it. If he's really grabbing my gun and I do this and I start to reach for a weapon or anything else, he's going to be jerking me all over creation and beating the snot out of me in the process. It certainly isn't a simple situation where I can start doing complex motor skills with my left hand in the midst of that melee. One of the things you've seen us do in some of the previous techniques is control people's elbows. When you control the elbow, you've got the entire body. So when Mike goes to grab me here, rather than grabbing the wrist and getting yanked all over, I'm going to grab the elbow. I'm also going to put up a guard. In this position, every time he pulls, I just ride that and I give him something to think about. He pulls again, pretty soon he'll get tired of that. Let's take a look at the knife side. What I've got, again, this is a specifically designed training knife. I'm not working with a live blade here. Again, you notice the brightly colored handle to let us know that this is a trainer you can see at a glance. So my draw stroke now is a very simple hook and draw. Working with my left hand. Now when he grabs here, again I cinch on here. As I go for this guard position here, I simply draw and notice where the knife is going. What muscle is he going to pull with? The bicep. What muscle am I going to cut? The one he's pulling with. Basically to take my elbow and now drive to take him down to the ground. Got lots of pressure on his ribs. I'm working his elbow, and I can also kind of bargain with him at this point to make him let go.
Knife training teaches you how to fight in close, and that's where the fights are going to happen. In fact, fully half of the law enforcement deaths in the last 10 years have taken place from 0 to 5 feet, 20% more, 6 feet to 10 feet.
One of the greatest advantages of training with knife is it teaches you how to fight up close, which is something that's often missing from gunfighting. Let's say, for example, that Mike is going to plane me in the head with a stick. Bang. He's pretty good at that. Let's say I try to do a speed rock. He goes to hit me. Best case scenario, I get hit, and maybe I get a shot off at him, maybe a mutual slaying. Not a good solution as far as I'm concerned. I've got to, at this range, do something with my hands before I go to my gun. So he goes to hit me. Again, drawing from knife technique, I'm using that boot technique to get offline. give him something to think about. At that point, I can step back, bring the firearm to bear any way I want. He's going to go stick me, okay? So he's thrusting, trying to get me low like this. Again, anything that I do that takes my hand directly to my gun as my first action, I'm dead. So when he goes for the shot, I've got to get some kind of control over this. Now if I bring the gun out, I might be in a situation where I can simply talk to him and say, hey, drop the weapon, because he knows that I've got a superior position. If you're going to carry any weapon for personal defense, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to everyone out there to train in its proper use.
For more information on Mike Janich's training, or for any of the products you've seen, BlackHawk blades, Crimson Trace lasers, anything else from BlackHawk, go to shootinggallery.tv. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week, Shooting Gallery.